The clock is now running on the Playbook podcast, the podcast where you take a deeper dive into the game of business, leadership, teamwork, character, the things that drive your motivation and build dedication. When you get a good look at the game plan of great business leaders, you start to formulate your own playbook and your own rise to the top. Make your next play your best play. And now, here are today's game captains, Glenn Amaral and Andy Phillips. Let's go!
Welcome back to the Playbook podcast. I'm Andy Phillips. Joining me, as always, is my partner, Glenn Amaral. Glenn, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
We have a great guest today, but before that, we got to warm up as always. So, Glenn, do you have a question for me?
All right. Well, since we have Paula on today, I thought a good question would be, what is your first pet?
So, I was not a big pet guy growing up. I never had a dog, never had a cat. However, my very first pet was a turtle named Speedy.
Oh, nice.
And my grandparents used to always either have a cottage or live on a lake. So my dad found it when I was a kid up there, and he brought it home, and we, tried to make it our own, but we realized it wasn't eating the normal store-bought food. So we realized that Speedy was one for the outdoors. So we released him to a pond. But yeah, I had a few fish that just never seemed to make it very far either. So never really had the pets, but Speedy was the first.
As a wee lad, you had a grasp of irony. That's great. I love it.
I like that. All right, Glenn, my question for you is, if you had to come back in a second life as an animal, what kind of animal would you want to be?
Well, I think I would have to come back as a dog, because they have mastered loyalty.
Okay.
Yet they're tough and they're fast, they're athletic, and they can have a lot of fun. But they're definitely man's best friend, and I like that aspect, that loyalty. No matter how bad a day you're having, they're having a good day.
And hey, when it's cold, you get to go inside.
That's right. A little scratch behind the ear.
Exactly.
So we're going to move on, and we're going to introduce our first guest, which is a friend of mine, Paula Kielich, with Pals for Life. Paula is the president and founder of the nonprofit organization Pals for Life, dedicated to have pets and people help each other live happier, more productive lives. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Paula Kielich. Welcome, Paula.
Hi, thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
About myself? Well, I grew up in Buffalo, New York, and I migrated over here to the Philadelphia area. And with a background in psychology and business, etc., I ended up starting my own nonprofit organization, Pals for Life. And what we do is awesome. Bring the pets to nursing homes and hospitals and rehab centers and schools and colleges and workplaces. In a normal year, we do over 600 pet visits with dogs and cats and bunnies. And actually, we had a turtle named Turbo in our program for a while.
There you go.
Love turtles. Yeah.
Not Yertle the turtle. All right, we're going to start out. We're going to ask some questions. I know we've come off a challenging year in 2020, and 21's been interesting as well. So Pals for Life relies on the pet-human interactions. How have you been able to continue your mission with COVID restrictions, especially, going into senior living and places like that?
It has definitely been challenging because all of the facilities we go to are closed. So we cannot get into them and they cannot get their hands on our pets. So what we have done is we've done virtual pet visits. We have, my program director has created a read-along video with the words on the bottom where the children can actually still read to our bunny sprinkles. We did a walk around the Macaulay Convent where we literally walked around their building with 3 dogs, a cat, and a rabbit, and the nuns could wave out the window, and the cat named Dino sat on the windowsills. And we also keep in touch with them all the time. We're sending them pictures and videos of the pets that they have come to love. It's not the same, but at least they do maintain contact with our pet therapy pets.
Well, yeah, I know. Just watching a video of playful pets is relaxing. So does a little bit. Anything you can do is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. So my next question for you would be, can you tell us a little bit about how Pals for Life helps people and organizations thrive through the pet visitations?
Yes, in 2 ways. I'm going to start with the organizations. So if a facility has us come out, they can use this as a marketing tool for themselves. If mom needs to go to a nursing home, are you going to pick the place that has pet therapy or the place that doesn't? You're going to go with the pets. The same thing with really every type of facility that we go to. So any facility is strengthened with what they can do for people, for their clients and their patients, et cetera, by having us come out. Now, what we do really depends upon the type of person that we're seeing that day. We go to so many different types of facilities. So if we're going to a nursing home, we're helping people with memory, we're helping them with companionship, we're helping them with tactile stimulation, they're petting the different pets. If I'm going to a program at a library, for instance, the children are not only improving their reading skills, but also their self-esteem when they find out that, yes, they can read really well to this dog. And one little boy said, I felt famous when I read to the dog. So that was fantastic. We have an emotional support program for students in high schools and middle schools where they're dealing with peer pressure and how do you deal with the bullies? What are the alternate behaviors to bullying? So we can help people that way. When we're going into the colleges, oh my gosh, they are so stressed out. So we're helping them just by sitting with the dog and just relaxing a little bit. You're also getting out of your dorm room. You're getting your head out of the books and into something that's positive. At a mental health facility, we're allowing people to get connected with their feelings. There's so many different ways. We work with autistic children. So in that case, what we want to do is get them out from the inner self where they are. We want them to connect with the outer world, with the bunny and with the other people. So there's just so many different facets. We pride ourselves on each individual visit that we do. We're going to solve your specific needs. So how can we help you at your facility? And we have so many different pets and different volunteers that we can really mold our programs to what each individual facility needs.
Well, that's great.
Phenomenal.
In our business, employee retention is crucial to survival, really. So how does your corporate wellness program help boost morale and increase productivity in the workplace?
It's a fantastic program because, as you know, I don't know of any job that doesn't have stress related to it. So we're going to come out and first of all, we're going to bring a little bit of happiness and joy to you on that day. The research is really fascinating because when a company has pet therapy, the employee retention goes way up because they feel as though their company really cares about them. On Pet Therapy Day, there is no absenteeism. Everybody is home.
Right.
You don't need a mental health day. We are the mental health. You're going to come in. The other thing that's really fantastic is the pets are a great equalizer. So it doesn't matter if you're the CEO or the lowest person on the totem pole. You're all interacting really equally and as equals. And it can give people a different perspective when you see someone in their business suit who's lying on the floor getting face washed by a golden retriever. And it just gives you a different perspective on your coworkers. And the other thing that can also happen is sometimes it does happen in offices where there's some personality whatevers. Well, if you can both find out that you both love golden retrievers, it's giving you some place in common that's really positive, that you can build a positive relationship and have positive communications. So all kinds of multiple things go on when we come in with the companies. But the basic thing is, boy, you know what, you're going to have fun at work today. And, you know, maybe your writer's block is going to go away. And we can also do our programs where we can go to the activity room, we can go to your conference room. But if someone is at their desk, they're not allowed to leave their desk, we can come to you. And that's just a great way that we can just make any employee's day a little bit better.
That's awesome. Andy and I were talking before we started today about bringing down walls and people. And what a great way to get to the real person is to bring a pet. And I know before I had to do a little public speaking, if you remember, for the Mainline Chamber, I got to pet Bubbles before I went up. And it was my opening line. I'm like, hey, what a great way to relax is, a minute with Bubbles. And I felt more relaxed. It really does make a difference.
And for those who don't know, Bubbles is our therapy bunny who goes out with me. He's more famous than anyone. Everyone knows Bubbles. And I read he couldn't come out today because of the snow, and he's not here, but he certainly is our main ambassador.
Absolutely. Love Bubbles.
So we got our last question here in the first half, and then we'll get into our halftime, which should be pretty fun. I'm excited for that. But our last question here in the first half. You have a psychology degree. You have an MBA in marketing, obviously a heart of gold. What does success look like to Paula? What is success in your eyes?
Success to me is when I can have a positive, meaningful impact on someone's life. And Pals for Life does that in two ways. One is our volunteers who find meaning and joy by sharing their pets with the people who need them. And a lot of our volunteers, this is a central part of their life. But the other thing is when I go into a facility and I know that we are making such a huge difference. It's when I go into a mental health facility and someone told me, you got here just in the nick of time. I was about to explode. It's when I go to I just happened to be a little bit ago. A mom came up to me and said that her daughter graduated from high school with honors. And the only reason that happened was that because several years ago, she brought her daughter to the local library where she could read to the pets. And she had a reading disability and didn't think that she could read. And it's when I go to the VA nursing home and a veteran starts sobbing because he says, I never thought I'd see a dog again. So it's every single time. I had someone else come up to me. He had a brain injury. He was in the hospital for 6 months. The only thing he remembers from being in the hospital for 6 months was when the pets came to visit him. So this is success to me. When we can make a positive, meaningful difference in somebody's life, and it can be life altering in many cases.
I love that answer because it seems like success, especially the more people we get on the show, it seems like success for highly successful people is not what you see on the surface. It's not the success in terms of money. It's not the success in terms of the business success. The success is even simpler and more about the joy that you can bring to others. And so I absolutely love that answer. But with that, it is time for halftime. So Paul, the way we do halftime here is we got a lot of, the business side of Paul in the first half. We're going to get into more experience and leadership in the second half. But halftime, cut all that. We want to get to know a little bit more about you, some fun, quirky stuff about you, stuff that maybe isn't even related, usually isn't related to business, and stuff that's maybe more about the personal side of Paula. It should be fun. It's a speed round. We have 10 questions. So I always tell people it can be as simple as a one-word answer. If you have an explanation, we're open for that. But we usually put about 2-3 minutes aside for the speed round at halftime. Question for you first is, are you ready?
I'm ready.
And here we go. Question number 1 of the speed round. As a Buffalo Bills fan, who is your favorite player not named O.J. Simpson?
Well, it's an old one, Jack Kemp, who was O.J. Simpson's quarterback.
Yep.
He actually turned into a congressman, and I was an intern for him in college. So,
you got a personal tie there.
Yeah. And of course, now it's Josh Allen and Anton Diggs, of course.
Oh, of course, yeah. The new breed. All right. Next question. What is your favorite vacation spot?
Sun Valley, Idaho.
Okay.
It's a vacation paradise.
What do you do? Real quick.
My sisters have a place there. And in the winter, you go snowshoeing and skiing. And the summer, you go biking and hiking and horseback riding. It's paradise. It's just spectacular.
That's awesome.
That's what we need now.
Seriously.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah. What is your favorite book or your favorite podcast?
My favorite podcast is NPR Up First. It's 15 minutes. I listen to it every morning while I'm eating my breakfast. It gives me a start to the day, what's going on, and then I'm ready to move on with the day.
Okay. I want a year, make, and model if you remember your first car you ever owned. Your name was on the title.
Yes. Okay. I don't remember the year, but it was an Oldsmobile Cutlass convertible, baby blue with white top. It was actually, I got it secondhand, and it was mechanically not the best, but it was such a fun car.
You're rolling in style.
Yeah, it was.
What is your big, and we don't have to get deep here. It's a speed round. What's your biggest fear? Spiders, sharks. What's your biggest fear?
Falling. I will never go bungee jumping ever, ever, ever. And roller coasters. No, not for me.
All right. In the morning, coffee, hot tea, or neither?
Hot tea. I always have it all day.
I'm coffee here.
There you go.
Coffee.
No.
What is your favorite genre of music?
Classic rock, Beatles, Billy Joel, James Taylor, Carole King, all those good ones.
Do you have a favorite? If you had to listen to one CD the rest of your life, who would it be?
Probably Billy Joel.
Okay.
Yeah, he's my guy.
What is your favorite movie ever?
Okay, it's a toss-up between Mary Poppins and Star Wars. I can sing you every song in Mary Poppins and Star Wars. Seriously.
Which one? Which Star Wars?
The first one.
Okay.
Is my favorite. Mm-hmm.
Okay. First question real quick. Do you like pizza?
Of course.
Do you prefer a Chicago style or a New York style?
New York, hands down.
I'm with you.
Again. Yeah, I'll too much crust on the other one.
And trust me, I like a good Chicago style here and there, but that's like I don't need it all the time. Where
right.
I could eat New York pizza, unfortunately, all the time. So that's a whole nother bag of problems. All right. Speaking of, and this is the last question. Speaking of being a Bills fan and part of the Bills Mafia, have you ever broken a table? And what I mean by that for the listeners is Bills Mafia at their tailgates are synonymous for jumping off higher ledges, could be a truck, a van, and elbow dropping through a table. I'm guessing you haven't done that, but do you have a story about breaking a table any other way?
I cannot say that I have jumped upon a table on more than one occasion. Yes. But I have not actually, I have not actually broken one, which might be in my future. You never know.
I would love to see it. Just make sure you get some padding though.
Absolutely.
I've been on a table or two.
There you go.
I think unfortunately, maybe we all have. All right. So that was a great job. That was a speed round and you nailed it. Knocked it out of the park. So that means we should definitely get into the second half here, which is again, focus on leadership, focus on your experiences. So my first question for you is, what is the biggest challenge you face? And I want this more to be in general you face running a nonprofit, not necessarily focused on COVID. I want it to be more so just in general, the biggest challenge you face running a nonprofit.
It's always fundraising. Okay. Because you know what? It's easy. We do 600 pet visits. Our challenge with the pet visits is not getting places to go to, but trying to get to all the places that we want us. But the challenge is always fundraising because that's not the fun thing. People join us because they want to have fun with their pets. But, just like any business, a nonprofit, we've got to raise the money for the salaries and the rent and the vet bills and all the other stuff. And people don't want to be on the fundraising committee. They want to be on how am I going to, what fun new things are we going to do with the pets? So I have to say, I don't think that this is unique to us. I think it's always a problem, but it's always, always, always fundraising and being able to pay the bills.
Yeah, definitely a challenge now. A lot of competition for those charity dollars for sure.
It really is. And a lot of people, a lot of the businesses that have supported us either can't or have gone out of business. A lot of people I know a number of my friends who no longer have their jobs. So, it's just tough right now. But the good thing is that everybody's just kind of holding hands and helping as best that they can. And we get a lot of support and moral support from the people who believe in our mission.
I remember taking a sports marketing class in college and we ran a basketball tournament and a fundraiser. And I remember doing it for that project alone. I was like, wow, this is hard. It's not easy. Mm-hmm. That's what you do for a living, basically.
Exactly.
Right.
It's very impressive.
It's not the fun part, but it's so essential. No. And
but you do a great job of that with Bow Wow Bingo and some of the fundraisers you do are amazing. So you do an awesome job. I have a question. It's a strange question, which is surprising coming from me, right?
No.
What traits do pets have in common with great leaders?
So the thing about a pet, that's one of the reasons why we love them so much, is they don't judge. They don't put labels on anyone. If you're going to pet them or give you a treat, they don't care if you're old or young or what sexual identity you have or what ethnicity you have. They think you are quite fantastic. And I think that's the same thing with a leader. A leader needs to gets their best ideas from people and they reward that. They don't care where the person came from or they don't put labels on people. They're going to reward and seek out the people who have the good ideas, the people who are capable, the people who they can give a project to and just leave them alone and they come back and it's fantastic. So it doesn't matter what they look like or what they're wearing or what their background, their ethnicity or whatever. They do not label, they do not prejudge. What they do is they value each person and they look inside the person to find out what those qualities are to help and mentor with.
That's such a good answer.
That's a fantastic answer. It really is. I mean, we judge by our first look a lot, and so great leaders, have gotten past that point. It's
Exactly.
like The Voice. You have to turn around just to
Right?
hear somebody before you make that judgment, it's really great answer.
Mhm.
I think everyone can learn that alone from animals, and we'd be better off in our world. I mean, and like you said, leaders seem to do that more, and that's why they're in leadership roles. But okay,
I'll bet Tarzan's a great leader.
I also say, by the way, the Tarzan books are very good. So if you have a chance to read them,
Absolutely.
all right. So this is a question I love asking people, and because I think everyone gets their best advice from a mentor at a different stage in their life, and it's also typically unique to them and what they value. So, best advice you received from a mentor.
This actually came from my dad. And what he told me is that when you have a problem to solve or something that you can't figure out which direction to go in, get advice from the experts, do your research. But when it comes time to making that decision, you are the only one who knows all the facets. So don't make the decision because some expert guy or person says this is what you should do. Take that into consideration. Get as much information, as much mentoring as you can, but you're the only one who knows all the different facets. You will make the right decision. Trust your own judgment.
Love it.
That's fantastic. So I'm going to turn it back to what it takes in your organization. What does it take to be a volunteer therapy owner and a pet, of course?
What we are looking for, we'll start with the pets. We are looking for pets that love attention, and no matter where they're getting it from. So they want to receive attention and love people in places from a person they've never seen before and a place they've never been before. They need to have good manners, no jumping or barking and things like that. They have to have their basic obedience. We make sure all of our pets go through an evaluation prior to being able to go out on a pet visit, and we'll mimic the kinds of things that they would experience. Like, how are they with a walker and a cane? What happens if you hug them and don't let go? So basically, we're looking for that outgoing, happy pet who loves people and wants attention. And again, it does not have to be a dog. We have cats, we got rabbits. We had a miniature draft horse in our program for a while. I even had a duck named Mrs. Peabody in our program. So we are open to different types of pets. The volunteers that we're looking for are people who are actually available to go out. We do get some people who would like to go, but their lives are so busy they can't actually help us. So we are looking for people who also like people. And that's actually important because some people like their pet, but they're not so good with people. So you have to have your people skills and be comfortable talking with people and interacting with people. And the ability to drive. Now, we do go all throughout the Delaware Valley. Our volunteers can choose to stay closer to home, or they can drive farther afield. But basically what we're looking for is people who love their pets and want to share their pets with others, and the pets who desperately want to be shared.
I love it.
That's great.
So we are going to get into our Hail Mary question. And if we have time after, I have a fun little overtime, first ever overtime to do with you, just based on our conversation. I think would be fun. So
Okay.
This is our last play of regulation. And we'll say we're down 7. We need it to tie and get to overtime. Okay. So this is our Hail Mary question. And honestly, all we want to know, you're very successful in your life. You obviously got to this point from hard work, dedication, and other experiences. But if you could go back and give 22-year-old Paula any word of advice, what would it be now?
So at that point, you're starting out on your career. And so what I would say is, a lot of the first jobs are test jobs, but don't settle. Don't settle for the job that is fine and okay, but doesn't grab your heart. Keep looking, keep striving for the job where you can pour your heart and soul into it. That's the job that you want. You know what? Sometimes it might not exist. Sometimes you might think about creating it. And if it doesn't exist, it means it probably needs to. So find your passion, find the place for you. Don't settle for anything that's not what you can pour your heart and soul in and be passionate about.
I love that answer. If it doesn't exist, maybe it should.
Right. And sometimes you just get redirected.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And be open to it. Be open to the possibilities.
Sometimes you're so focused on your road that you don't see the perfect path right in front of you.
You're absolutely correct about that.
So always be open. That's great. All right, I'm ready for overtime.
Well, that's
and wouldn't you go for the 2-point conversion to win the game?
Yeah. Would you rather go for 2?
Ooh, sure. Go for the 2.
All right. Luckily for us, it's the same play. Here we go. So, is it safe? It's safe to say you know the traits and characteristics of animals pretty well, correct?
I do.
It's safe.
I do.
It's also safe to say that you know your Buffalo Bills.
Oh, I love my Buffalo Bills. Yes.
I'm going to name a few players in Buffalo Bills, current or past. You tell me what their spirit animal would be.
Oh my gosh. All right.
I'm putting you on the spot here. It's for the win, Paula.
All right.
Not Philly, I guess.
Oh, my heart. Philly.
Let's kick it off easy. We'll do like 3 or 4. Let's go with Josh Allen, and we'll give you a little bit of a little time.
I would see like an eagle for him. You know, he's above everything. He's looking around the field. He's got that eye for like, where exactly do I need to drop this ball? So I would give him an eagle.
Off the top, I love it. All right, let's go. We'll go to his sidekick. Well, let's go with Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs. So now he's got to catch the ball. You know what? I would almost say like he's the golden retriever because he's going to catch the ball no matter where it is. You know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to change it to the border collie because the border collie will leap 20 feet in the air if he needs to catch the frisbee. He also has the eye to herd the sheep and all the other stuff. So, but the border collies have the intelligence and the drive to do what needs to be done, but yet they can pretty much catch anything. So I'm going to call the border collie for Anton Diggs.
And finally, for the win, let's go to the defensive side of the ball. The best defensive player in the history of the Buffalo Bills, Mr. Bruce Smith.
Bruce Smith. I'm going to say the Buffalo. I mean, the Buffalo from Buffalo Bills.
There you go. Right?
He's big. He's not going to let anybody buy him. He gives you the eye. He gives you the stare like, don't even try it. You've got to be I am your worst nightmare on your best day. So, I'm going to have him be the Buffalo.
Paul, you just won the game. You just won the podcast.
Awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you for having me, guys. It was so much fun. And I really appreciate the ability to tell everybody about our story and about my organization.
Well, thank you, Paula. And I'd like to give you 30 seconds to tell our listeners about your program and how they could get involved.
Absolutely. So we are always looking for volunteers to help out in many different aspects, whether it's fundraising, which I mentioned, but we are always looking for more volunteers. So you can go to www.palsforlife.org. That is our website, and it's the source of all knowledge. So it'll give you phone numbers. It'll tell you all the different types of programs that we're doing, special events that are coming up, some pictures of our pet visits, and hopefully it will inspire you to become involved in one way or another.
Phenomenal.
That's great. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for listening. Go find your success. And my name's Glenn Amaral.
I'm Andy Phillips.
Please check out our platforms and comment in any way. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. You can find us all over the place now. So thank you very much and have a great day.